The U.S. auto market in 2025 is in real trouble. Cars that were once hyped as stylish, powerful, or even groundbreaking are now sitting unsold on dealer lots. Some have reliability problems, some feel old-fashioned, and others just don't make sense for today's buyers. In this video, we'll look at the biggest flops and why they failed. For a long time, car brands could rely on big names, flashy looks, or strong engines to attract buyers. But that no longer works. High interest rates, rising insurance costs, and stricter loans have made people much more careful. Buyers aren't just thinking about the sticker price anymore. They check total ownership cost, reliability, and resale value before making a decision. At the same time, electric vehicles and hybrids are changing what people expect from all cars, not just premium models. Buyers want modern tech, easy-to-use infotainment, and some level of electrification, even in smaller budget cars. If a car doesn't have that, it feels outdated fast. The old categories of luxury, performance, and cheap don't guarantee buyers like they used to. Another big change is the rise of SUVs and crossovers. People who used to love sedans now prefer higher seating, more space, and the feeling of safety. Even budget buyers are skipping small sedans for slightly used crossovers that give more room and practicality for similar money. All these changes mean even well-known brands are struggling. Dealers' lots are full of cars that missed the mark or took too long to catch up. Vehicles that once set trends or offered solid value now feel old and less appealing compared to newer, more modern options. Luxury cars and performance models are supposed to set the tone for the entire market with prestige, innovation, and excitement. But in 2025, this corner of the industry is wobbling. High interest rates, rising insurance costs, and a flood of new EV options have left traditional sports sedans and high-end crossovers fighting for relevance. Buyers are no longer dazzled by badge or horsepower alone. They expect rock-solid reliability, cutting-edge tech, and lower running costs. Alfa Romeo's Giulia sedan and Stelvio SUV once turned heads for their design and driving feel, but 2025 buyers aren't prioritizing style over practicality. Reliability worries, cramped interiors, and dated tech have pushed shoppers towards German and Korean rivals. Resultantly, the sales are sluggish and dealers are packed with unsold inventory. Next, we have the most surprising inclusion on this list, the Nissan GT-R. The GT-R used to be the ultimate performance bargain, but after more than a decade without a full redesign, its once legendary status feels frozen in time. Younger buyers are looking at fresher, tech-heavy EVs or hybrids, leaving the GT-R a niche relic. And while the GT-R suffers from being outdated, Toyota faces a completely different issue with its entry-level sports car. Even Toyota's entry-level sports car is feeling the squeeze. While it's fun and affordable, the market is dominated by crossovers, hot hatches, and small EVs. The GR86 ends up overshadowed, showing how difficult it is for affordable coupes to survive in today's landscape. These cars prove that even style, history, and strong performance can't save a vehicle if it doesn't match today's market demands. Next, let's shift gears and talk about another type of failure, cars that didn't know who they were supposed to be. These are the practicality and identity crisis flops. Not every flop in 2025 wears a luxury badge. Some of the biggest losers are cars that were supposed to be simple, practical, and affordable, but ended up in no man's land. The US buyer of 2025 is shifting rapidly. Compact crossovers have replaced sedans as the default choice. EV incentives are reshaping expectations, and even budget buyers want safety tech, space, and style. Cars that don't clearly meet one of these needs are disappearing from shopping lists almost overnight. The Nero Pop is a perfect example. Designed as a compact EV for urban buyers, too small for families and too bland for EV enthusiasts. It lacks the wow factor and practicality today's buyers demand, leaving dealer lots full of unsold units. Once seen as the go-to choices for cheap, reliable transportation, both these sedans have been pushed aside by used crossovers offering more space, better tech, and comparable prices. Simply being cheap isn't enough anymore. Buyers expect value and they're finding it elsewhere. And finally, there's the Chrysler Voyager, a car that doesn't even seem to know who it's trying to attract. Chrysler tried to strip its minivan down to hit a lower price, but the result is a vehicle that pleases no one. Too basic for families, too bland for premium buyers. In a market where versatility and comfort are everything, the Voyager feels like a throwback rather than an option. In today's auto market, practicality is about giving buyers a strong reason to choose your car. Without that, even the most affordable models fail. Next, we'll look at something even more surprising. Iconic American brands that are losing ground. Even America's most recognizable nameplates aren't immune to the market shifts of 2025. Heritage used to guarantee loyalty, but today's buyers weigh tech, price, and relevance over nostalgia. The muscle car segment is shrinking fast. EV adoption is accelerating, and insurance plus financing costs are eroding the traditional value proposition. As a result, cars that once symbolized power and freedom are struggling to find an audience. The Charger's mix of gas engines and now electrified options confused its core fans. Muscle car buyers don't see Dodge as a leader in EV tech, and EV shoppers don't see Dodge as a safe bet compared to Tesla or Ford. Combine that with steep prices and shrinking demand for big performance sedans, and the Charger's sales are fading. Ford's classic Mustang Coupe faces a similar dilemma. The spotlight has shifted to the electric Mustang Mach-E, leaving the traditional gas-powered model looking dated. Enthusiasts remain, but mainstream buyers see better value and future-proofing in crossovers or electrified options. The decline of these icons shows that legacy and nostalgia can't carry a model forever. Without a clear transition strategy, either to EVs, hybrids, or tech-focused offerings, heritage brands risk being left behind by younger buyers who see them as relics rather than aspirational. Next, we'll take a closer look at trucks, SUVs, and electric models. Trucks and SUVs have been the backbone of the U.S. auto market for decades, and electrified vehicles were supposed to be the next big thing. But in 2025, even these powerhouse categories are showing cracks. High interest rates, slowing construction activity, and skepticism about charging infrastructure are leaving both heavy-duty trucks and mid-market EVs stranded on dealer lots. Buyers are holding off on big purchases or choosing used vehicles, and that's putting pressure on segments once thought bulletproof. Ford's heavy-duty trucks are a prime example. Businesses and fleets, normally the most reliable customers, are delaying purchases due to tighter financing and an uncertain economy. Older inventory piles up while newer models launch, splitting demand and leaving dealers stuck with costly stock. Positioned as a mid-market EV, it was meant to compete with the Chevy Bolt, Hyundai Kona, and Tesla Model Y. Instead, it fell short. Charging infrastructure is still limited, and many buyers remain skeptical about VW's reliability. The result is a bloated inventory, even after heavy discounts. And when it comes to luxury SUVs, even prestige brands aren't safe. Just look at Jaguar's F-Pace. Even luxury SUVs aren't immune. The F-Pace entered as a stylish alternative to German rivals, but reliability concerns, high depreciation, and limited service networks make it an easy pass for buyers who can choose Lexus, BMW, or Genesis instead. The U.S. auto market in 2025 has proved that no brand, no badge, and no legacy is safe from change. The biggest takeaway from these failures isn't just about bad cars. It's about understanding where the market is headed next. Because in a world this competitive, the winners aren't the flashiest or the cheapest. They're the ones that evolve the fastest.